A team of South African divers descends into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Nigeria. Their job is to recover bodies. A tugboat called the Jascon 4 capsized 3 days ago and sank to the ocean floor at a depth of 100 feet. 12 crew members were on board. The divers have already pulled out 4 corpses. Diver Nico van Heerden swims through the flooded corridors of the upside-down ship. Everything is inverted. Ceilings are floors, doors open the wrong way. He turns a corner and sees what he assumes is another body floating in the water ahead of him. He reaches toward it. The body grabs his hand. In the control room on the surface, the dive team is watching through the camera mounted on Van Heerden's helmet. The project manager, Tony Walker, later said, "We shot back when the hand grabbed him on the screen." The hand belongs to Harrison Okene, the ship's cook. He has been at the bottom of the Atlantic for 3 days, alone, in the dark, surrounded by the remains of his crewmates. And what kept him alive down there, and what he could hear happening to the bodies around him, is the part of this story that nobody knows. This is the story of Harrison Okene. That morning, Harrison Okene wakes up before 5 a.m. on the Jascon 4. He is the ship's cook. Breakfast does not make itself. The tugboat is anchored about 20 miles off the Nigerian coast, near Escravos, performing tow operations to stabilize an oil tanker at a Chevron platform. 12 men on board, 11 Nigerians and a Ukrainian captain. Harrison is 29 years old. He has a wife back on shore. She had recently sent him a psalm by text message. "O God, by your name, save me. The Lord sustains my life." Harrison gets up, says his prayers, and heads to the bathroom. The rest of the crew is still asleep. Every cabin door on the ship is locked from the inside. That is not optional. It is a security rule. The waters off the Nigerian coast are some of the most pirate-heavy in the world. Crews lock their doors at night so that if raiders board the vessel, they cannot drag men from their beds. The Jascon 4 is an anchor-handling tugboat, a heavy, powerful vessel built to pull and stabilize much larger ships in open water. It is not a small boat. It is not fragile. The Atlantic off Nigeria's coast can be unpredictable, but the crew has worked these waters before. The swells tonight are heavy, but manageable. Harrison is in the bathroom. The ship lurches. Then it keeps lurching. Not the normal roll of a wave passing under the hull, but a tilt that does not correct itself. The floor shifts. Then the walls shift. The speed is wrong. This is not a swell. The Jascon 4 is capsizing. The ship goes over fast. Harrison is thrown off his feet and slammed against the bathroom wall, which is now becoming the ceiling. Water pours in from everywhere. The lights cut out. In seconds, the entire vessel is upside down and filling with the Atlantic Ocean. Harrison is underwater in total darkness inside a ship that is no longer the right way up. Every surface he touches is in the wrong place. Doors that opened left now open right. The floor is above him. The ceiling is below. He does not know which direction leads out and which direction leads deeper into the sinking ship. The water is cold and rising fast. He grabs the underside of a wash basin, which is now above his head, and holds on. His mouth is barely above the waterline. Around him, through the walls and corridors of the flooding ship, he can hear his crewmates. 11 men locked inside their cabins, doors sealed for the night because of the pirate rule. The ship is flooding, and they cannot get out. One by one, the screaming stops. Harrison holds onto the basin and listens to the silence that replaces it. The water keeps rising. It reaches his chin. He cannot stay here. He takes a breath, lets go, and goes under, swimming blind through a flooded corridor inside an upside-down ship, feeling the walls with his hands, trying to find air before his lungs give out. He finds a door. It will not open. He grabs a piece of broken metal from a ventilation duct and uses it to pry the door loose. Through it, another corridor. More water. The ship has settled on the ocean floor now, 100 feet deep, upside down, almost entirely flooded. Harrison swims through the dark with his hands out in front of him, touching cold metal and cold water, running out of breath. Then his head breaks the surface. Air. A pocket of it trapped inside what used to be the engineer's office. The room is upside down like everything else, and the air has collected at what is now the top. The pocket is about 4 feet high. Harrison pulls himself up onto a ledge and breathes. He is 100 feet underwater inside a capsized ship sitting on the ocean floor. The air pocket keeping him alive is 4 feet high and shrinking with every breath. 11 crewmates are dead in the rooms around him, and nobody on the surface has any reason to believe that anyone inside the Jascon 4 is still breathing. The first thing Harrison notices after the breathing is the cold. The water around his waist is Atlantic deep-sea temperature, cold enough to make his muscles cramp within minutes. He is wearing nothing but his boxer shorts. That is what he had on when he went to the bathroom that morning. There is nothing in the engineer's office except the air above him and the water below. He pulls paneling off the walls and stacks it into a makeshift platform to keep as much of his body out of the water as he can. He finds 2 mattresses floating in the water and drags them onto the platform. Then the smell reaches him. Harrison cannot see anything. The darkness is total. But he knows his crewmates are nearby. He can smell their bodies in the water. And then he hears splashing in the flooded corridors, and then the sound of something feeding. Fish have entered the wreck and they are eating the dead. Harrison later told Reuters, "I couldn't see anything, but I could perceive the dead bodies of my crew were nearby. I could smell them. The fish came in and began eating the bodies. I could hear the sound. It was horror." He does not know what kind of fish. He is afraid they are sharks or barracudas. He finds a plank and holds it across his lap, ready to swing at anything that comes close enough to touch. Time stops making sense. There is no light to separate day from night. Harrison sits in the dark on his platform of wet paneling and mattresses, waist-deep in cold salt water, holding a plank, listening to things feed in the corridors around him. He finds 1 can of Coca-Cola. He takes small sips and makes it last. The salt water burns his mouth and peels the skin off his tongue. He has nothing to eat. The air in the pocket tastes different the longer he sits there. Heavier, harder to pull into his lungs. Every breath uses up what is left. The air is turning against him. He prays. He recites the psalm his wife sent him. Over and over. "Oh God, by your name, save me." He later said he prayed about 100 times. It was the only thing he could do in the dark that felt like action instead of waiting. At some point he hears sounds above the ship, movement, machines. Something is happening on the surface. Then the sounds stop. Then they come back. Then they stop again. Harrison does not know that rescue divers have arrived and are entering the ship to recover bodies. All he knows is that something is moving through the water nearby, and this time it sounds different from the fish. Then a light appears in the water, faint, moving, getting closer. Harrison reaches out his hand. Diver Nico Van Heerden is swimming through the wreck looking for the next body to recover. He turns a corner and sees a shape in the murky water. He reaches toward it. A hand closes around his glove. Van Heerden's voice comes through the helmet speaker, high-pitched from the helium-oxygen mix. "He's alive! He's alive!" In the control room on the surface, his supervisor responds, "Just reassure him. Pat him on the shoulder." The divers warm Harrison with hot water and fit him with a diving helmet. He has never worn diving equipment in his life. They guide him out of the ship and into a diving bell. He loses consciousness during the transfer, but survives. On the surface, he spends more than 2 days in a decompression chamber. His body has been under deep-sea pressure for so long that regular air could kill him. When he finally steps out, he sees the sky for the first time in days. He later said he thought he had only been underwater for 1 day. When they told him it had been over 2, he could not process it. Harrison Okene survived with minor physical injuries. The psychological damage was worse. For months afterward, he would wake up screaming in the middle of the night, convinced his bed was sinking. "When I am at home, sometimes it feels like the bed I'm sleeping in is sinking," he told Reuters. "I think I'm still in the sea again. I jump up and I scream." 11 of his crewmates died. 1 body was never found. Harrison was the only one who made it out, and the only reason he was not locked in his cabin like everyone else is because he had to use the bathroom at the wrong time on the wrong morning. Then Harrison Okene did something that nobody expected. The man who spent 60 hours trapped at the bottom of the Atlantic in total darkness listening to fish eat the bodies of his friends, decided to go back underwater. He trained as a commercial diver. He earned his certification. One of the divers from the team that rescued him awarded him his diploma. Harrison Okene now works on underwater oil and gas projects. He dives deeper than the 100 feet where he almost died. The sea took 11 of his friends in one night. He went back because it could not take him.